The U.S. border wall is not a security solution, is a symbolic artifact, a mythic projection of control in a landscape shaped by fear, racial anxiety, and institutional betrayal. Despite billions spent on its construction, maintenance, and expansion, the wall has failed to prevent unauthorized crossings, drug trafficking, or cartel activity. Instead, it functions as a performance of safety, a visual reassurance to the public that the government is doing something even as more effective, less visible tools already exist. The wall dramatizes protection while masking deeper systemic failures. It is not a tool, it is a prop. Homeland security, customs, and border protection, and military intelligence agencies already possess a sophisticated arsenal of surveillance technologies that far exceed the capabilities of any physical barrier. Mobile surveillance towers equipped with radar, infrared, and high-resolution cameras can detect movement across vast terrain and be repositioned to adapt to shifting cartel routes and migrant crossings. Drones provide real-time aerial imagery, identify tunnel entrances, and track movement in areas inaccessible to ground patrols. Ground-penetrating radar detects underground anomalies, including cartel tunnels with high-precision. Seismic and acoustic sensors pick up vibrations and sounds associated with tunnel digging or underground movement. AI-driven anomaly detection algorithms analyze surveillance data to identify patterns of unauthorized activity, including cartel logistics and migrant flows. These systems are integrated into situational awareness platforms that synthesize data from multiple sources into a real-time operational picture, allowing for rapid response and resource coordination. Despite their effectiveness, these technologies remain underutilized. Their quiet efficiency threatens the myth of invasion, a myth that justifies militarized response and racialized enforcement. The wall, by contrast, externalizes threat. It creates a visible boundary between us and them, reinforcing a narrative of purity, danger, and control. In this way, the wall is not about solving problems, it is about signaling. It offers the visceral satisfaction of a towering structure, a monument to fear, while the tools that could actually address the issue are sidelined in favor of spectacle. The removal of undocumented immigrants is not a neutral legal process, it is a racial purge disguised as policy. Latinx communities, many of whom have lived, worked, and contributed to U.S. society for decades, are targeted under the guise of legality. This targeting is not about security, it is about racial anxiety, historical continuity, and institutional cleansing. From Operation Wetback in the 1950s to modern ICE raids, the United States has repeatedly weaponized immigration enforcement to suppress brown bodies. These sweeps are not random. They are ritualistic, designed to reaffirm national identity through exclusion. The government already possesses the data, the tools, and the capacity to manage immigration humanely. Biometric databases, visa tracking systems, and internal surveillance networks provide comprehensive visibility into migrant populations. What is missing is not information, it is ethical clarity. Instead of using this data to support integration, protection, and autonomy, it is weaponized to justify removal. The result is a system that punishes presence, criminalizes survival, and erases contribution. The logic of enforcement is not rooted in safety, it is rooted in purification. Cartel activity along the border is not uniformly combated, it is curated. Intelligence agencies often allow certain operations to flourish until a high-value target emerges. Then, with dramatic flair, arrests are made, press conferences held, and narratives spun. This patterned strategic tolerance, followed by theatrical enforcement, suggests that the goal is not eradication, but control. Some cartel tunnels remain undetected for years, not due to technological failure, but bureaucratic inertia. Surveillance data is filtered through political priorities, not ethical imperatives. The result is a system that tolerates harm until it becomes narratively useful. Law enforcement agencies often ignore low-level cartel activity in favor of pursuing big fish. This strategy allows operations to continue until they reach a scale that justifies intervention. It is not about prevention, it is about optics. This approach mirrors the logic of the wall. Wait until danger becomes visible, then respond with spectacle. It is a reactive theatrical model that prioritizes narrative over protection. The cartel is not an enemy to be dismantled, it is a character in a drama that reinforces the state's role as protector, even as it selectively ignores harm. In mythic terms, the wall represents separation, purity, and exclusion. It is the boundary between the known and the unknown, the safe and the dangerous, the citizen and the other. But this archetype is outdated. In a world shaped by data, mobility, and surveillance, the wall is no longer a protective structure, it is a fetish. It externalizes threats, racializes movements, and performs safety while ignoring root causes. It is a relic of a dying paradigm, one that cannot hold the complexity of modern migration. Cartel logistics or survivor sovereignty. We must replace the wall with a new mythic framework, one that honors autonomy, truth-telling, and discernment. Surveillance should serve protection, not domination. Enforcement should support healing, not purging. Policy should reflect ethics, not optics. This new mythology must center survivors, not systems. It must prioritize transparency over secrecy, sovereignty over control, and complexity over spectacle. Survivor-centered frameworks demand a radical shift in how we approach border enforcement, not as a mechanism of control, but as an opportunity for care. These frameworks ask urgent ethical questions. Who benefits from enforcement? Who is harmed by spectacle? What truths are erased by policy? In this reframing, undocumented immigrants are no longer threats to be neutralized, but narrative disruptors who expose the failures of policy, the hypocrisies of enforcement, and the racialized logic of exclusion. Their presence is not a problem to be solved, but a call to ethical reckoning. Survivor-centered sovereignty insists that protection must be rooted in dignity, not domination, and that discernment must replace punishment as the guiding principle of governance. Instead of relying on physical walls and militarized sweeps, we must invest in community-based surveillance, ethics systems designed to protect without criminal. These ethical frameworks would allow for localized monitoring that prioritizes safety and autonomy over suspicion and control. In tandem, we need digital sovereignty protocols that empower migrants to manage their own data, ensuring that biometric and surveillance information is not weaponized against them, but used to support their rights and agency. Mythic education tools also play a vital role, helping communities reframe migration not as invasion, but as transformation and archetypal journey of survival, adaptation, and renewal. Finally, survivor-led policy councils must be established to shape enforcement from the ground up. These councils would center lived experience, ethical discernment, and community wisdom, offering a counterbalance to top-down bureaucratic control. These alternatives are not utopian, they are necessary. They reflect the reality of our technological capabilities, the complexity of our systems, and the urgency of our moral responsibilities. The border wall is not a solution, it is a spectacle. It dramatizes safety while ignoring the tools that could actually provide it. It racializes enforcement while masking the data that could humanize it. It tolerates cartel activity until it becomes narratively useful, then responds with theatrical prosecution. In its place, we must build mythic frameworks that honor autonomy, truth-telling, and survivor sovereignty. We must replace walls with web's networks of care, discernment, and ethical protection. The real border is not geographic, it is ethical, and it is time we crossed it.